So for practice today, what I'll recommend as far as props is if you have a pair of blocks, um, if you have a pair of blocks, grab those blocks. If you, that should really be the main prop, but anything else that you usually want for like seated comfortably. Um, I don't even think we have anything kneeling today. So really, it's just how you want to bring comfort into your class. And even those two blocks, if you just have one, that's fine. But we're going to start out with centering. And the practice today, once we get past centering, is going to be a standing practice. So if you're just like, I don't want to sit and then stand, that's okay. You could center standing. Um, but just so you know, that's where we're headed right after centering. So, excuse me. So feel free to take a moment to center. Again, you could center standing, you could center seated, you could center lying down. You could close your eyes and tune in. We're going to take a moment during centering here to think about energy. Now, I've been talking about this for a few weeks. It's not progressive. You're not missing out if you missed out, but um, we're going to think about energy in the sense of the Vayus. Vayus means winds. So we have the way that we breathe, and you can pay attention to your breath for a little bit. Notice how your inhale is and your exhale. And then as we start to think about the way that the energy or the breath moves within our body, you can think about these different ways we think about how the wind or the energy moves. So, apana energy is this energy that directs upwards. So, this is just a way to view how we present and exist in our ways of being. So I think of apana energy because it goes up towards the mind or the crown of the head, is if you're kind of out of balance with this upward, or you have too much upward winds, if you will, or vayus, your brain is like going rapid fire of like, what's going on here? Do I need to do that? And that chitta vritti, or that very active mind, that's just kind of like rapid fire thinking about thoughts, and sometimes even five thoughts all at once. That might be that you have a almost an abundance or too much of that upward energy. And so if you think of apana energy, the opposite of that is prana vayu, that's downward energy. And so then you might want to focus on energy that helps you breathe downward. And again, energy is not something that you can really hold or create a shape to or think about in a tangible sense, but when you've landed into, say, Shavasana, and you're like, I don't even know where I was for 2 minutes, I was beyond thoughts, I was deep within, that's that sort of grounding and downward energy. So, pranavayu, too much pranavayu leads to sometimes digestive things, like if you have a very regulated pranavayu, you might eat something really yummy, your body digests it and eliminates the waste that you no longer need. But if you are having too much or an imbalance of pranavayu, things might not go so smooth, or your tummy might not feel great. Then we want to think about samana vayu. Samana vayu is this energy that comes from within. I think of it like the sunshine. Imagine that your heart is a big bright light, and it radiates out beyond the fingertips and toes when we're full of energy and full of this wind, and we can share it and radiate out into the world. And it feels like we're open hearted and ready to receive. Too much of that might be that you disconnect just because you are so bright that you kind of outshine, or maybe you don't connect to others. And so then the opposite of that is Udana Vayu. Udana Vayu is that inward direction. So think of from fingertips to toes, and the winds travel towards the abdomen or the navel center. And we can balance out our um, Samana Vayu with Udana Vayu. Udana Vayu, if you're needing more energy or support from others. Yesterday was a beautiful sunny day here. I think of like the month of January, very cloudy and gray. We were just talking about the weather. And you could think of these winds almost like seasons within our body, but sometimes we need a little bit more energy from without to charge or refuel our cloudy days on the inside. And then the last wind is the wind that just kind of circulates everything and stirs it within, which is Vijana Vayu. And this is usually located a little bit more around the throat. It's sometimes associated with our abilities to communicate. And if the winds are in balance, if you will, if your energy is centered here, you're able to really speak your truth. You're able to communicate your truth to your own heart and yourself, and express it to others. So energy, it's again a really powerful tool, and it's sometimes hard to just articulate. Take just about 5 more breaths here, noticing if you can kind of understand your energy. Another way to think about it, what's your vibe? Maybe you don't see the directions of upward, downward, inward to outward, outward to inward, or that swirl that moves around us. Maybe you think of energy as that you have a lot or you're lacking. How is your breath? Let's go ahead and close our centering. You can bring hands to heart center, setting any intention that you have for your practice. If nothing comes to mind, you can simply just, again, maybe set or dedicate your practice to the practice of moving energy today. Now, when you're ready, you can go ahead and start to shift towards movement. Again, take your time with this. You can blink the eyes open. You could stretch or reposition. I do not really have downward facing dog in this sequence. So if you're lacking that in your practice, this is where you could start to find your way to fours and press into down dog. Or, like I said, you don't necessarily have to do downward facing dog to get to your feet. We're going to start our practice standing. And again, take your time getting there. Take a moment in down dog if you like. All right. So I had mentioned it might be useful to just have a pair of blocks. You can set those up for yourself. They'll be at the top of your mat. For this practice, I'm going to turn and face you. So my blocks will be in front of me here. But yeah. So take a moment. Once you're there, it looks like just about everybody got up to standing here. We're going to come into mountain pose. You may or may not use these blocks. So we'll find out in a moment. So we were just talking about energy and winds and how they move through our body. I think one of the most tangible ways that I was like, oh yeah, there's always this energy happening. We don't always feel it, is to utilize heat. So go ahead and clap the hands, start to rub them together, get some warmth in between those palms. Really, 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 really rub. Right? And then after that friction, right? See what you can feel. You might feel it in the hands, right? That like nice frenetic energy. See if you can, when you bring the hands now close to each other, you almost feel this resistance. This is how you can form or shape energy. I kind of like to almost think of packing a little snowball. And This is kind of how we can cultivate energy and make it our own for a moment. Some people call this a chi ball, chi, like a little chi ball. And we're going to play with where you can send your energy. So, the first offering that I'll give you here is you can give yourself the energy. So, take that little snowball pack that we've been playing with, and you can push it inside your body, whether it is to your heart or to your belly. Then, when you feel like it's in there, you can let the arms go. Energy can also be sticky. So, if you ever release it and you're like, ooh, it's still in my fingers, you can shake out those hands. I got some tools afterwards too if you still feel like it's still sticking. So just let me know. Now, you can clap and rub again if that helped. You can also just start to gather some energy and create your own next ball of energy. This one, again, if you got to get outside at all yesterday, it was amazing. Feel like I haven't seen the sun for a year. It's probably only been about 3 or 4 weeks, but it was beautiful. We're going to give this energy a little light. So imagine now we're in mountain pose. We're going to bring it into high mountain. So you're going to take that energy ball and lift the arms up. You only have to go as high as comfortable for you, right? Especially if you got something in the shoulders, just lift it up to where it works for you. Let that energy soak in some of the sun. And then let's go ahead and bring that energy ball back down around the heart. Now, the other way that you can utilize energy is almost like a little protective shield. You can cast the energy around you. So you can take that ball and let it wash over your body. And so that's another way you can kind of let go of the energy. Now, another little prep, we're going to build this sequence and kind of circle back around a few times. So, one of the things that you'll be doing here is pivoting on the toes. So, play around with how that feels in your body. You're going to point the toes out to the side and in. You might even explore what it feels like to do both at the same time, toes out, toes in, and even toes parallel and then toes inward, like pigeon toed. Now, if any of this does not feel good on your ankles, just know that you do not have to do these ankle movements. And when I say toes parallel, now I have pretty, I'm going to call them square feet. Like we don't really want squares, but I have pretty angular feet. If when standing, a slight turnout is neutral for you, that's what I'm talking about when I say parallel. So we'll turn out, we'll go to neutral, which might be slightly diagonal or parallel. And then the other way is turning the toes in and again back to parallel, which might be a slight turnout for you. So, and I always like to just let people feel that before we get into it because it can catch you off balance pivoting on the heels like that. All right, let's go ahead and gather some energy. Again, you might feel different shapes and textures as you start to form these energy balls. They might be different sizes, they don't have to be a ball. But we're going to once again lift that energy up to the sky for high mountain pose. Now, from high mountain pose, we're going to push the walls away. So imagine that you have somebody on your left and on your right, and you're going to tell them to stop. So you're going to open up those arms, palms away. Stop, right? And then at the same time, but we're doing it separately, you're going to pivot on the heels, turn those toes out, and you can bend into the knees if you'd like. We're going to do that all in one swoop next time, but it's kind of hard to say all those things all at the same time. So I'm just giving you the mechanics of it. Now, when we come back up to mountain, you're going to scoop up that energy. You're going to extend the legs and parallel the feet. Coming back to high mountain pose. You're going to take your energy ball and once again, bring it back down to heart center. All right, see how that energy feels. So you can always bring the energy within you. You can cast it around you. Or sometimes you may know someone that just needs a little bit of your love and support and energy. Or just in general, the world's kind of a hurting place, right? You can take that ball and send it out. So we've got letting the energy come in, letting the under energy surround us, and letting it out into the universe or the cosmos. Okay, we are going to add on the elephant trunk swing. I like to demonstrate it upright because sometimes it's hard to see what somebody's doing when they're in a forward fold. So we're going to do it upright, but in a second, we're going to all do it in a forward fold. So elephant's trunk swing is this. When in a forward fold, you're going to imagine that your arm is the graceful elephant trunk swing, and you're going to sweep it open to the right. At the same time, you're going to spin your right toes out to the side, and then you're going to bring both of those back, feet, arms, other side. So you're going to swing open to the left toes point out to the side, and exhale, bring it back in. Like I said, we're going to do that in a forward fold, but if lowering the head is not a good thing for you, you get dizzy going up and down a lot, I would do that standing just like we did together. If doing the forward fold is fine, that's what the blocks are for. You're going to bring your hands to the blocks and you're going to sweep open to the right and sweep open to the left. All right, let's go ahead and gather some energy. Take a moment just to experience what it feels like in between the hands. Now, on your next inhale, we're going to go ahead and reach the arms up to the sky. Here's where we're going to push the walls away. So again, it is arms out, pivot those toes out, and bend into the knees. Push the walls away. Lovely. You start to feel the leg muscles, the heat build. Let's go ahead and scoop that energy back up, extend the legs, parallel the feet. Now, this energy has gotten some sun. We're going to let it now grow in the earth. So you're going to let that energy come down, come to a forward fold, plant that energy into the earth. Setting up for elephant trunk swing, you can bring your hands to the blocks, the thighs, or the floor if you want. And then on an inhale, you're going to sweep open to the right, toes point out to the side. Exhale, swing it back to center. Inhale, swing to the left. Left toes point out, left arm sweeps open. Exhale, return. All right, we're back to that forward fold. You're going to go ahead and scoop up that energy. Now it feels like it's cultivated some weight to it. So you're going to hold it in your hands and come halfway like you've got a boulder. From there, you're going to push that energy all the way back up to the sky. Take one more inhale here, and then exhale. Feels like you got a gem or a ruby now, right? Bring it back down to heart center. You decide, do you want this within you? Do you need this around you? Do you need to send it to someone? And then let it go. Good. Wherever it needs to go, inside, around, or into the cosmos. All right, good. So we've got one more thing to add to the golden seed, and then we're going to go through it in a few rounds together. So the last piece is the dipping bird. So I like to just turn to the side. I think it's a little easier, but this is the one where we're going to pivot the toes in if that works. And I always like to think of this almost like a ski slope. You can either do it with me or you can just watch, right? So your arms will be up overhead like in high mountain. Imagine that you're about ready to dive down a 50-foot slope. I don't know, I haven't skied for a long time, but think of it as hinging from the hips and whooshing the arms back, right? Now you're on that downhill ski. Dipping bird, we always do twice. So on your next inhale, you're gonna parallel the feet, reach those arms up to the sky, and do it a second time, and whoosh, toes point towards each other, hinge forward, sweep the arms back. Go ahead and inhale, back up to high mountain, parallel the feet, and you can relax. So that is the last piece of the golden seed. We're going to add it in. When you did the elephant trunk swing, if you use those blocks, you can keep them in front of you. If they were in your way, this would be a good place to kind of set them off to the side. But let's put it all together. All right, so starting out with finding your energy, feeling into that energy. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and reach it up to the sky. Letting it take in that extra energy above. And then we're going to go ahead and push the walls away. Good. Go ahead and scoop that energy back up, parallel the feet. Take an inhale, and then exhale. We're going to plant that energy down into the earth, setting up for elephant trunk swing. So maybe you bring those hands onto the blocks or your thighs or the floor. Long spine here. On an inhale, sweep open to the right. Toes can point out to the side. Exhale, return. Inhale, swing open to the left. Exhale, return. Now, scoop up that energy from the earth, bring it halfway. Feels like a boulder now, right? Go ahead and push that energy all the way up to the sky. 2 dipping birds. We always do dipping bird twice. Take an inhale here, exhale. Cast that energy by you. Whoosh. Inhale, scoop it back up. And again, dipping bird twice. Whoosh it back. Sound effects are welcome. Inhale, reach it back up. I always love to whoosh. Take one more inhale here. Bring that energy back down to heart center. Again, do you need this within you, around you, into the earth or into the atmosphere? When you're ready to release it, go ahead and release it. Mountain pose. Good. Let's do that 3 times in a row. Okay. So everybody's got it. Everybody looks good. Go ahead and start to scoop up your energy, your chi ball, whatever you like to think is in between your hands. On your next inhale, go ahead and reach up towards the sky. High mountain pose. Exhale, push the walls away. Good. Go ahead and scoop that energy up. Parallel the feet. Reach up to the sky for high mountain pose. Exhale, let's go ahead and bring that down into the earth. Plant that energy for a moment. Setting up for elephant trunk swing. On an inhale, swing open to the right. Exhale, return. Inhale, sweep open to the left. Exhale, return. Go ahead and scoop up that energy, lifting halfway. And then that boulder of energy gets pushed all the way up to the sky. We're going to cast this over our body in dipping bird. Dipping bird always goes twice. Take an inhale here, exhale, and whoosh it back. Inhale, go ahead and scoop it back up. Take a deep breath in and exhale, dipping bird twice. Whoosh. Inhale, go ahead and scoop it back up. Bring that energy back down to heart. It might have changed shape. It might feel a little different. Decide where it needs to go. And bring it there. Go ahead and scoop up some more energy. Find your new field. Play with that energy on your next inhale. Go ahead. Reach it up to the sky. Exhale, push the walls away. Good. Go ahead and parallel the feet, extend the legs, reach up to the sky. Exhale, we're going to go ahead and plant that energy into the earth. Take a forward fold. Elephant trunk swing on an inhale, sweep open to the right. Exhale, return. Inhale, swing open to the left. Exhale, return. Go ahead and scoop up that energy from the earth. Come halfway. From there, let's go ahead and push that energy all the way up to the sky. 2 dipping birds. Take an inhale here. Exhale, whoosh it back. Inhale, scoop back up. And exhale, whoosh it back. Good. Inhale one more time. Gather that energy up. Giving it one more time to shine. Bring it near the heart. Decide where it needs to go. And send it there. Good. Last one. Go ahead and scoop up some new energy. Swirl it around. When you're ready, reach it up to the sky, high mountain. Exhale, push the walls away, toes point out, bend into those knees. Good. Go ahead and scoop that energy back up, parallel the feet. Inhale, exhale. We're going to go ahead and plant that energy down into the earth, forward fold. Inhale, scoop open to the right, elephant trunk swing. Exhale, return. Inhale, swing open to the left. Exhale, return. Go ahead and scoop that energy up from the earth, come halfway. Go ahead and push that energy all the way up to the sky. Take an inhale here and exhale, dipping bird. Inhale, scoop it back up. We always do dipping bird twice and one more time. Whoosh. Go ahead and scoop that energy up one more time. Parallel those feet. Bring that energy back down to heart center. Feel into that energy. Send it where it needs to go. Within you, around you, or into the atmosphere. Mountain pose. So we can feel our energy like we did in centering today. We can move it and play with it, transform it, give our own little bit of it into the universe. Energy is really cool, right? So we're going to shift gears just a little, but I'll leave it up to you whether you want to use your block or not, but we're going to play around with a little bit of exploration and balance poses. So what I'm going to invite here is, you can call this pose whatever you want. Like I'd like to imagine it's somewhere between birds of paradise and tree pose. So it could be a paradise tree. I'm sure Liz maybe saw a few of those in their last journeys. Or maybe it's a bird of roots. I don't know. Anyway, whatever you want to call the pose, totally fine. But think of the shape of tree, the stability that we try to create in our joints, but we're also going to play with that sort of nice lift. So blocks can be off to your side. If you want, they could be off to your right side. You want your leg to be pretty close to it. You don't want to be too far away. Okay. And then you're going to go ahead and feel mountain pose, both feet into the earth. Squeeze your leg muscles, squeeze your belly muscles. Hips and glutes are also good muscles to have fired. Now you're going to shift over into the opposite leg. So if the blocks are on the right side, you're shifting into the center of your left leg. You're starting to peel that right heel up. You're going to lift the knee up and bring the foot to the block. Now you can now do that external rotation. So this is where it's not quite tree pose, right? We have a distance here, but the exploration is how smoothly can you explore having the toes, the foot onto the block, and occasionally lifting it up. So this is our exploration. You want the heart to still stay lifted. I don't really care what people do with their hands. It's like it could be tree hands, but like I said, we're kind of making up a pose. You could be a pirate because you got your foot up on an oak barrel. Hands at the waist can be nice. Maybe you hold them out just for a nice steadiness. But we're working on building strength in that standing leg. So you're still squeezing and rocking those muscles as you explore, occasionally coming to the tippy tops or lifting up, right? So this all takes core strength and steadiness. Beautiful work, everyone. You have like energy coursing and racing through you up and down and all over the place. And here you are standing on one leg. Amazing. So let's go ahead and bring this back down to mountain pose with intention. Squeeze those muscles. Don't just plunk the leg down. Lift it up and gently set it down. Whew. Okay, once there, relax the muscles. Shake it out. Wiggle the hips. Shake out the shoulders. If you need it for the back, do a forward fold. Totally up to you, whatever makes sense. We're going to do this on the other side. So you can either turn yourself, you can move your blocks, or you can move your body to the other side. Just depends on what's easiest for you. All right, go ahead and find a nice length. Feeling tall, again, muscles, feel them. What muscles are you using? What muscles are you not? Squeeze your glutes, your hips, your leg muscles, your belly muscles. Start to peel and lift that left leg up. Pull lace it on the block. If you want, you can do that external rotation. And now the exploration is simply to find moments where in standing, you might occasionally lift that leg up off of the block. Notice if there's wobbles. So for me, I find a lot more sturdiness and steadiness in everybody's practice. Tree pose is beautiful. Birds of paradise, also great posture, but super complex. And everybody's like, am I doing this right? But this, like, I just see a lot of stability. I see all engaging the core muscles and stabilizing in a way that we don't always get to in tree, because tree you can just be really passive and hang out in and still feel pretty strong in. All right, so let's go ahead and again, with intention, use those strong muscles to lift the leg up and gently return it back down to the floor. Once both feet are there, again, relax. Shake out the belly, circle the hips. We're going to keep doing a little bit more with balance, but if you want to grab a drink of water here, that might be a good thing to do. Take care of any of your needs. If it is your hips feel really tight after all that engagement, circle those hips. If you're feeling tight in the back, take a forward fold. All right, so I'm pretty sure all of you have done this with me before, but now we're going to bring this into all of that we just worked on. So I find that sometimes like the best way to do balance postures, especially if you have a specific strength thing, right? Sometimes external support helps, right? So that's that wall, and you can kind of touch it or not as you need. But I think that the blocks can give you a different way to stabilize. And so now If you want to practice a very stabilized, right? We were talking about the winds. Are you all up in your head? Maybe you need a nice, stable, grounded tree. Are you have a lot going down or swirling around or reaching out or in? Like, sorry, I'm animating the winds with my body, but like, what do you need from your balance pose? We're going to spend about a minute on this side. So, if you're one who wants just this nice grounding thing because everything's up in the head and the mind's going a million miles, stand in, but have the blocks in between the legs this time. And you're going to set up your tree, engaging your muscles, finding your center into the leg. You can push the heel into the leg, but also into the block. Okay. So this is, again, nice, stable, steady tree. You can express the arms how you'd like. You can, remember, we're doing this for a minute, so you can stay with that one. You can also explore. Now, if you're not on a hardwood floor, probably definitely only do one block. But if you've done one block and you want to see what it feels like to unground a little bit or take flight, you might step up on two blocks and do tree pose. It's an option, right? Where does your energy go? What do you need? Are you feeling so anchored and grounded from all that energy flow that you need to take a little flight with it? Try it out. What do you need? And maybe you're just like, in general, I don't know where the energy's going, and I don't know why I'm standing on a block to do balance. You don't need props to do tree pose, right? So we've got about 6 more breaths, tree pose on this side. Find the tree that brings you challenge. Find the tree that supports your energy today. Do you need grounding energy, stabilizing energy? Do you need energy that helps you float and lift up? Maybe stand on the block. Do you need energy that just helps you feel neutral or challenged in all the normal ways, right? That is a valid energy feel. All right, good work, everyone. So if you are on that block, just be careful when you step down. The floor is lower than what you think the floor is. If you are stepping off those blocks, just make sure you don't trip onto them, and then give yourself that care, right? Step wide, circle the hips if you need to address tensions in the hips. Release the back with a nice forward fold if you need it. We're going to take about 6 breaths before we head to the other side. You can still release tensions as you'd like, or maybe you just kind of assess your energy. How's it coursing through you? Do you have a sense? Is it going up, down, swirling around, coming from the heart out, or coming from the out to the gut? What do you notice? We have all of these wins. You might be able to experience all of those when I mention them. Just sometimes we're a little more connected to a energy because we either are experiencing too much of it. Chakras, I do like chakra energy work, right? It's just a different system to look at it. But they talk about like kind of the overspinning and underspinning with the winds. It's just a sense of like, is it a calm, sunny day, or is it like the first north wind that comes into fall and like blows all the leaves off, right? So when we're talking about energy, are you like getting too much? Are you not getting any? Is it just the right amount of stream of movement? And so usually the ones that you can identify, like you're like, yeah, everything's going this way. You might have a hefty wind, right? All right, let's do that tree pose on the other side. Again, your options are you might have the block standing in between you. You're going to engage your muscles. You're going to feel this nice and steady. And you're going to shift into the center of that leg as you maybe place the other leg, pressing into the side of your foot. You can use one or both blocks, just however long your shin is. It's going to determine that. And you're going to feel this. I find that this can be just as steadying as having a hand to an outside surface. So play around with it. If what you want is to move energy a different way, say all of your energy is moving downward or outward and you want to fly upward, right? You might step on one or two blocks and see what it feels like to balance. almost on a tightrope, right? Tree pose. See how it feels. Find your strength. One is not more advanced than the other. Picking the one that you need today is the best one for you. So I just want to preference that. Okay. Going to explore this for, again, about 6 more breaths. What I'm noticing, what I can see visually from you all is that when we manage, when we regulate our energy, our steadiness to balance just like boom, lands. So everybody's trees look so beautiful. All right, when you're coming out of the tree, again, try to not just let go, do it with intention. Plant that foot down, lower than the block if it's higher or up on a block. And then once you've grounded, then let it go. Relax belly muscles, shake out those hips if you need to. I think last week I was like, Taylor Swift has that Shake It Out song, Shake It Out. But I don't know if anybody watched any parts of the Grammys. I didn't watch the whole thing, but like what's given me chills and like what I just can't get out of my head is Tracy Chapman and I don't listen to country that much, but there's a country artist who covered her song and made it popular again. And they did a duet and it just gives me chills. So if you can see that performance, it's amazing. It's amazing how I think that music is, again, another tangible way to understand energy, right? Where does it come from? How do we create it? And then how do we receive it? So I was just like deeply touched by that performance. So, all right. So, one more strong thing, one more strong practice, and then we're going to start to do more stretch and release. Our active practice today, I'm going to recommend locust pose. Locust pose, traditionally, you're lying on your belly. But I just want to offer, since we're all standing, that if you do not want to lay on the abdomen, maybe you just had breakfast, that's okay, that's valid, and you don't want to lay on your stomach, you can do locust up standing, right? So locust pose is extension of the spine. So if you're doing it standing, you're extending one leg back, you're extending the arms back. And this is what we're going to build to. So all the cueing that I'm going to give in a moment, laying on my stomach, is going to be the same if you choose to do it standing or not, okay? So, and that being said, again, if you're just sad that I'm not cueing downward facing dog today, as we head down to the floor, this would be your opportunity to go through downward facing dog. There are other ways to get to the floor. You can do a knee dip lunge down. You can just get your hands to the floor. You can use chairs. Be safe if you're coming down the floor with me. And then, as I mentioned, again, you can do this posture standing, or you're going to bring it down to the belly. It can take a while for the spine to settle. So once you do get down onto the tummy, it might feel nice to just gently windshield wiper the knees. All right, so we are going to start out with leg extension. So again, if you are standing, right, you might even hold on to a chair or the wall because you don't necessarily want it to be about balance. We're working on extension. So go ahead and start to think about your right leg. Can you hug your calf muscle, your hamstring, your seat muscles, your hips, and even the core, particularly on that right side, and begin to extend the leg? So when I think extension, I think how long can you make the leg? But you are also, if you're laying on the belly, you're lifting up. If you're standing, you're sending it back, right? But it's not, can I pinch my back doing this by lifting it so high? It's just simply, can you extend the leg? Take one more breath here. Exhale, lower it down, or release, come back to mountain pose, or again, rest on the belly. You can, if you're laying on your stomach, windshield wiper the knees. The equivalent of that standing upright is to maybe take a forward fold. All right, we want to give our back space. So I'll give you a moment in between. Then we're going to go over to the other side. All right, so setting up the other side, once again, long in your spine, start to hug your calf muscle on the left,
hamstring, glute, they might fire all together. And then when you're ready, extend the leg. How long can you make that leg as you lift it? Squeeze the muscles. Still breathe with ease. And then let's go ahead and release the legs down, or come back to that mountain pose. If you're standing, you can windshield wiper the legs. You can take that forward fold if you're standing. So, just so that everybody gets an option here, if you're laying on your belly, now we're going to lift both legs. If you're standing, you're like, I can't stand both legs behind me. So if you're standing, you're going to lengthen a leg, bring it back, lengthen the other leg, and you're going to alternate side to side. Okay. If you are on the floor, you're going to extend both legs at the same time. So let's go ahead and start. First of all, squeeze those leg muscles nice and strong. Lengthen them. And then again, if you are on the belly, you are lifting those legs. If you are standing, you're kick, lower, kick, lower, kick, lower, kick, lower. One more time each side if you're standing. If you are holding locust pose on the floor, one more breath. And when you're ready, release it down. Whew. Okay. If again you're on your belly, you might simply windshield wiper those knees side to side. If you are standing, take a forward fold or release your back in a way that serves you. So again, if you're doing this standing, this is a mini back bend. You're reaching the arms up to the sky and slightly behind you. If you're using the wall for support, you just have to lift one arm. But we're going to put this all together. So we've already done the leg lift for those of you that are on the belly with me. But now go ahead and bring the hands. You might have to lift your heart up a little bit ahead of time. Bring your hands either to the sides, fingertips into the floor, or some people like the arms back behind. So really you could do either or, but we're going to start to extend through the lower body and lift the upper body here. So when you're ready, and again, if you're doing the standing, you're just extending one leg, one arm at a time, and then you're switching. Otherwise, on the belly, you're going to go ahead and squeeze all the muscles, lengthen the leg, begin to lift the upper body. You might even go, look, mom, no hands, right? If you are standing, again, you're extending using core strength, protect your back, lift the leg back and return, lift the leg back and return. One more full breath each side. Good work, everyone. Let's release. So those of you on the belly, simply lower everything down. Now we are going to do some back releases. I'll give you a couple options on the journey there. Some of you really love child's pose. And you're going to want to send the hips back. Some of you might just want to come onto the back because we're going to do back releases there. So if that's your preference, take your time. Maybe you simply roll to your side and then onto the back. If you need to go through child's pose, right, you may press up and lift the hips and then come onto the back. And of course, if you are standing, now you're going to make your way down onto the back. You might want to have any props nearby that you would like for Shavasana in a moment. But other than that, take a moment to let your spine settle on the floor. Sometimes it feels nice just to rock the shoulders a little side to side or rock the hips a little side to side. All right, first back release when here, wind relieving posture. So go ahead and hug one knee tight in towards the belly. You can always wrap the hands over the top of the shin or under the thigh, but you do want to squeeze into the abdomen. I also think it's a good place to joint release. So you could wiggle toes and circle the ankle here, just as kind of like an added bonus. I guess it's the avocado of wind relieving posture, right? It's extra, just like guacamole. All right, give that belly one more squeeze. You could also draw the chin in towards the chest if you're needing more back release, and then let that leg go. Excuse me.
All right, let's go ahead and set up on the other side. So, other knee hugs in. Again, you can wrap over the top of the shin or underneath the thigh as I'm demonstrating. You could wiggle toes, point and flex through the foot, circle ankle. It's really okay to do that joint release. If you want a little bit more rounding to the spine, you lift that chin in towards the chest as well. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that leg into the belly. Take one more moment here and let it go. All right. And then once you let the legs release, you can windshield wiper those knees side to side. Some of you, it might feel nice to take one more back release where you hug both knees tight in towards the belly and curl like a ball, and then just gently roll side to side. Next, we're going to set up for pigeon pose. So, again, just give yourself what your body needs. And then setting up for figure four or pigeon pose from knees bent, feet planted. You can cross ankle over thigh. Know that you can stay here for a few more breaths if you'd like. I always like to give a little time before we go to the other side. You can just stay on this side if you'd like, sometimes giving that hip a little bit of time to shake out. You might release the leg and shake it out. When we get to this part of class, where we are trying to get that more grounded, energetic space, we're trying to slow things down and deep stretch in the body. So this is just an invitation that don't feel like you have to rush these cool downs. We are giving our muscles some time to lengthen and stretch out. So when you're ready, you can set up the other ankle, other side. And I just say that because I know that there are many ways to do reclined figure four. Some people flip the leg and draw it in. I think that's great, unless what that feels like is a complete core exercise for you, right? Because it isn't necessarily about the belly. The belly muscles here should actually be very passive and relaxed. So floating that leg in to get deeper stretch, it's sometimes you have to kind of give yourself the better balance. Like maybe, yes, the hip stretching now, but now it feels like you're doing 100 sit-ups. Not that that's, again, a bad thing, but it's just the intention, the design of the class, the energetics, if you will. We should start to be trying to cool things down, soften the muscles, right? Stretch out the hip because it did a lot of work for us today. And finding that right balance. Right, so we've been on this side for about the same amount of time as that first side, and you can always linger there again, especially if something's feeling really good or rich for your body. When you do release, again, you've got another opportunity to shake or wiggle things out or stretch out through those tissues, just kind of making that hip start feeling reconnected to your body. And then we have about a minute before Shavasana. If there's anything else that you need in your body, whether that's one more hug in towards the chest, maybe a happy baby pose, maybe a gentle spinal twist side to side. If you're doing something that has a left and right, take about 3 breaths on one side, then the other. And you can also just start to head towards final Shavasana. That is okay. Start to find that place where you can just be. We intentionally stirred and moved and did a lot with the energetics today. So, how can we just let that all absorb into the body? Trying to bring the body into the most easeful space. Relax any last tensions that are in your breath. Sometimes simply just taking a sigh out feels right. Soften away any last tensions in the muscles, the shoulders, and the jaw. And maybe there still is this movement and awareness and stir within. Notice what settles when you settle into final Shavasana. Know that you can stay at rest and continue in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. There is no rush. If you feel that connection to energy or that stir within, begin slowly, take your time, but also know that you can start to move as you'd like. Maybe breathing a little deeper or gently rocking the head a little side to side. Maybe even start to wiggle fingers and toes, but again, take your time. There is no rush. It might feel nice to add more movements on. Maybe even just notice direction or stir of energy. Is there something you're needing? Is there something you need a little less of? You could bend elbows and knees, or maybe even stretch out through the limbs. But again, take your time. I always like to invite a moment just to close out your own practice. Whether you're at that space, you could take a pause where you are, or maybe even roll to your side for a moment and invite you to take what you need into the rest of your day. Maybe you do have that little extra spark of energy that you needed, or maybe you feel like this anchored some of the restlessness that maybe was there when we started. I often like to very consistently offer gratitude and close my practices by saying, "Thank you, body," because our body is energy. It is what makes us move. If you're ready to close in community, and again, there's no rush to get there. If you're still in Shavasana, if you need a little bit more space where you are, just continue on as you are. But if you find your way ready to close, find your way up to a seated position, and we can bring hands to heart center. Unless you're missing your little chi pack, you can create a little energy ball in front of you as well. And I'd like to guide you through an Om. Know that you can join in with your voice or ears however you'd like. We'll exhale, inhale, and then Om. So whenever you're ready, exhale out all the air in your body. Take a deep breath in, then Om. Om. The light, the energy, the joy within me, honor and see that light, that energy, and that joy within you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your energy, and you in the space today. Namaste. I will stay on if you need anything from me. Thanks for indulging the golden seed practice. I always have fun guiding everybody through it. But yeah, have a lovely day, everyone.